This call is being recorded.
Hello, I'm Peter Bell, and I'm here with Mr. Morgan Good from Delrey Metals. Hello, Morgan.
Hello, Peter. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, wonderful to be talking to you. The second time, I believe, we've had an interview talking about Delrey.
This is correct. It's been a few months, so certainly nice to be back.
Congratulations on the work you've been doing. I was reading through Peter Epstein's publication here out earlier today, and after reading about the stuff on Four Corners, I thought ground truthing. There's a lot of good work to be done there before drilling, potentially even in addition to the drilling. And just reading Epstein's article and scrolling down and thinking ground truthing, and then seeing that you've been doing that at the projects on the West Coast as well. It seems that you are competently managing a junior mining exploration company here. Good work, Morgan.
Thank you, Peter. Certainly, Mr. Epstein's article has been a great help to us, and I think it's a great sort of layout of what we've been up to and what we plan to be up to. And just to touch on that ground truthing, obviously we've done a lot of that on the BC projects, and we got some very positive assays back, which were published a couple of weeks ago. So permits have been submitted for drilling up at the Blackie, Porcher and Star projects. And as soon as we receive those permits, we'll be initiating a drill program, a diamond drill program this summer, likely in a couple of months' time. And then, of course, to take it back to our flagship project in Newfoundland, the permitting process is actually a lot faster. It's only about a 2 to 3 week turnaround. So we're looking to actually have drills going late June and early July.
Wow.
On the East Coast. So certainly going to be moving very quickly to follow up with some work there.
That's exceptional. Good for you. That really, I hadn't heard that or seen that mentioned anywhere else, but the potential for that accelerated timeline on the East Coast there versus the West, and budget potentially to have both of them underway at the same time or in proximity, I guess, and calendar.
I think that they'll be separate. The BC stuff does take a little longer to get approved, with the government being a lot different here on the West Coast, as you know. So we're going to focus on the big boy out east in the Four Corners. There was a lot of historic work, as everybody knows, and a lot of geophysics that were done. So there already are drill targets out there, and myself and Mr. Blady, fellow director and geologist, as well as our QP, Scott Dorian, we were out visiting the project a couple of weeks ago with Vic French and the team from 999 Resources. And we spent the better part of 3 or 4 days looking at all the old drill core, spending time with the Department of Natural Resources and meeting with all the heads of the departments within the government, which was really fantastic to know how open for business Newfoundland truly is and how accommodating they're going to be. What a great way to start off a working relationship. So Delrey is extremely excited to be in that jurisdiction, which, as you know, is always rated in about the top 10 or 12 by the Fraser Institute worldwide.
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. I'm glad to see you striking out there too. I hadn't expected that, with all the projects in BC. There's so much knowledge, so many people out there in Newfoundland that really understand mining and exploration. Good for you.
Thank you, Peter. We appreciate it. It's an underpopulated and underexplored part of our country, but there's been a lot of successes there in the past, and we hope to reinvigorate the mining and exploration space as best we can to contribute to the growth for the economies and the local communities, as well as taking what we believe is an extremely undervalued asset in the Four Corners and getting to work.
Yeah, and big shout out to Mr. Vic French out there. Maybe at some point we'll get a chance to talk to him. A question for you though, about what you had just said, which the underworked. I wonder. I haven't seen detailed work history of Four Corners. Is that my oversight, or is that available somewhere? I know there's a lot of information out there on this project.
I think that it's difficult to source the information. it took us many, many months to gather what we could, and then to get in touch and sort of reach out and meet Vic and his team. And obviously we announced an LOI about a couple of months back, and we just closed on our definitive documentation and announced it today. So it's been quite the process to get to here. But now
Wonderful.
that we're here, the fish is in the boat. Nobody can take that away from us. It's up to Delray Metals to further the advancement of the project, which it plans to do, and then expedite those plans as fast as possible. So we're in a position to sort of get the ball rolling. Depending on how big of a program we would like to, get into, obviously we'd like to initiate with some drilling as soon as possible. So that will be, that process is basically just getting underway as far as getting our permits and then getting out on the ground, like I said, late June, early July, which isn't too far off. And I think if you want me to touch on some of the historic work, I'll just swing back and say it had about 4,000 meters of drilling, approximately 11 or 12 drill holes, all sort of between 400 and 500 meters in average depth. And most were nearly a kilometer away in spacing. So you're really looking at a large, very homogeneous type of deposit that's got a great opportunity to be much more well-defined. This is something that we know. It's obviously not 43-101 compliant, so we will be working to bring that up to compliancy, but it's a very favorable sort of hillside mining type of scenario. Even SRK, the world-renowned consulting firm, said so themselves when they did some work there about 8 or 9 years ago. So it checks pretty much all the boxes you can think of as far as a sort of an advanced exploration project with an opportunity to sort of head into a developmental stage. And that's what we plan to do.
Exceptional. Yeah, great to hear it. I wonder, with your recent site visit, did you visit old core shacks? Were you able to visit any of these grab sample locations or old drill holes?
Yes, one of the days was spent at one of the core shacks. So Newfoundland is actually very unique in that they've got about a half a dozen sort of major core shacks spread across the province, which the government subsidizes to allow public companies and private companies, for that matter, store their core. So all of the old drill core was intact and organized. We had a wonderful team out there that works for the DNR come out and assist all of our team in going through all the old core, and we actually took some samples of much of the old core, which are in the labs right now here at ALS on the West Coast. We're waiting for the results on those assays, and we're using a modern technique of lithium borate testing, which they didn't use back 8-9 years ago. So we're hopeful that we'll see some positive results from that, confirming or possibly even enhancing previous results. And we're looking to sort of get those back as soon as possible so we can update the market in due course.
Yeah. Wonderful. Good for you. There's so much value in doing that from a government policy perspective. It's amazing that it's not done more widely.
I totally agree. And that's, like I said, back to my point about how open for business Newfoundland is. They truly do roll out the red carpet for groups that are looking to bring business to their province. And we were overwhelmed and flattered at how great they were. And that was our first impression. So really excited to spend the summer and fall and so on working in that province.
Well, and I look through the Delray pitch deck here and see the management team, right? And I've met Mr. Leighton Bocking before and seen him on the internet. He's active on Twitter, I believe. But it slipped, or I hadn't noticed that Gold Standard Ventures, he was involved there for over a year. A pretty important year, I might think, maybe sometime after the discovery, really, and when that stock ran. But looking at his experience in raising money and Mike Blady's experience raising money, your money, and then talking about drilling and being, drilling's expensive, but there's a bid out there for junior mining exploration work. And if you can provide that, in a reasonable way and focused and with a commodity focus, it's a unique niche on the offering side. And there are surely buyers out there for your paper.
I think there's no question about that. One great part about Newfoundland is the costs of drilling are substantially less than many, if not all of the other provinces. In fact, when you compare it to British Columbia, you're looking at approximately 50% of the all-in cost. So I can't get too specific with metrics, but I do know it's considerably cheaper. So that's one big advantage of working in Newfoundland. And obviously we have the ability, if required or if wanted, to raise flow-through capital at any of our projects, being that they're all Canadian-based. So that's also an advantage we have. To touch on myself, Mike, and Leighton's financing and raising money abilities, I think it speaks for itself that we've got the right network, not only within Delrey already, but at our fingertips to help us finance the future of this great opportunity. And I think one thing we haven't talked about, and what's happening in the last week or two, is this surge in the iron ore price. And everyone, we've been really talking about vanadium so much over the past many months, and that has been the focus. But I think it can't go unmentioned that the Four Corners project in particular is a very large sort of iron ore titaniferous magnetite, deposit that's been enriched in vanadium. So I think with the price of iron ore at a 5-year high now, over $100 a ton, you're starting to see some iron ore companies really perk up. So we're going to make sure that we talk about both angles. It's important to have all the commodities that are in your scope discussed, especially those of merit and those that are getting the right attention. And iron ore at the right time for Delray has really started to stand out. So that piece of the story will get blended into the vanadium. So we're talking on concurrent paths as we move forward.
Great. Well, and it's a good example of the team understanding and improving their understanding over time, right? And searching for opportunities, whether it's asset acquisitions or how to frame the company, best foot forward for the markets. Yes, iron ore. I would love to see some of the global economic figures around, the economic activity around mining of iron ore deposits, exploration side of things. I've seen in the past that these have some of the more pronounced cycles. Some of the discovery stories there, the stocks seem to run higher and harder than others, some as a group.
Yeah, no question about it, and that's part of our job is to continue to educate the market as best we can as things change. We all know this is a cyclical business, and things change every day, every week, every month. And fortunately for Delray and its shareholders and potential future shareholders, like I said, the price of iron ore is at a 5-year high. So what better timing than to have that happen? We're going to take advantage of that. We're going to see to it that we get the most out of that and can maximize everything from an iron ore and vanadium perspective moving forward.
And if we were to go in a few months hence when the financial statements are out for the current period, or if we were to go and dig through some of the financials on this new pubco, I would wonder how things would look to us there, how the spending rates across different activities and all.
Sure, I think that we're probably in line with much of the juniors, and that we've been prudent at least preserving capital, but at the same time, getting funds in place to be deployed for the exploration advancements, as well as you've got to have certain marketing efforts as well. These junior companies don't tell the stories themselves. You've got to get out there and build your audience. So we're doing the best we can to sort of blend everywhere. Obviously, advancing the exploration work to a much higher degree will require raising further capital in the future. The details of which we're not quite there yet. We're going to see how the next little while goes. We've got enough money to get things kicked off back east, so that's certainly the plan for now. But I think that being that it is exploration season, and as you said, there is a bid around, especially for good projects and good people. We're going to look to capitalize the company further at the right time, and certainly bear in mind minimizing dilution and taking strategic money from the right people and the right sources at the right time.
Yeah, it's amazing how challenging it can be to get access to some of this deal flow on any side of this market, right? Bull markets can run quick and it can leave some people in the dust too, right? So you want to be on top of it, whatever that looks like. And it's, again, between the team, across the team there that you have at this company, the fundraising side strong. And I wonder about work commitments. I haven't seen terms for Four Corners that I've recall either.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's very basic. It is written in our press release from this morning, but the first 12 months commitment is just $1 million Canadian on the project. So we've made our property payments, which was a total of $50,000 to the company thus far. There's no more property payments to be made until the 12-month anniversary from. I guess yesterday would be the official day. So not till May 20th of 2020. So $1 million is what we need to spend over the next 12 months. I think we're going to obviously look to accelerate that tremendously and see if we can even get through the first couple of years commitment within the first 6 to 12 months. I think we've got a market coming here that's got an appetite for stories like this. So why wait? Let's create the value and let's get out there and beat the drum as best we can.
Exceptional. I'm very impressed. Thank you very much, Morgan Good, for the call today.
Peter, I really appreciate the time and effort you make. So thanks again for doing that, and look forward to the next time we have a discussion.
Thanks. Goodbye.